Oh, brothers and sisters, in a much, much greater way, when we come to Jesus, we put our faith in him. We trust in him. Praise God. At that moment, everything that belongs to him becomes ours. And not because of any work we have ever done or will ever do, but solely because of the work he's done for me and you. Praise God. Salvation is found solely in God's mercy, separate from our merit. Jesus has lived the life we could not live. He has died the death we deserve to die. And Jesus has conquered the enemy we could not conquer. He has risen from the dead. And simply, solely by faith in his love for us, we can be cleansed of all our heinous sin and reconciled to a holy God to know and enjoy him forever and ever. This is the greatest news in all the world. Which leads to the third truth here in Psalm 51 that these reformers believed. They believed that love like this was worth losing their lives to proclaim. They believed that love like this was worth losing their lives to proclaim. Verse 12, restore to me the joy of your salvation, uphold me with a willing spirit, then I will teach transgressors your ways, and sinners will return to you. Deliver me from blood guiltiness, O God of my salvation, and my tongue will sing aloud of your righteousness. O Lord, open my lips, and my mouth will declare your praise. See it. See how washing before God, washing by God inevitably leads to worship of God. And then see how washing from God inevitably leads to witness for God. I'm going to teach this to transgressors and sinners. And it makes sense. Possession of this good news compels proclamation of this good news. And this is where we must be careful not to miss the point. Please listen to me closely. These martyrs did not die just because they believed the gospel. They died because they broadcast the gospel. They didn't die just because they studied the gospel. They died because they spoke it. Persecution only rises when proclamation resounds. If you stay silent about your faith, you stay safe from persecution. It's when you speak about your faith that you now step into persecution. And that's what these reformers were doing. They were sharing it in their homes. They were teaching it in their churches. They were proclaiming it in their towns. And it cost them everything they had. John Rogers had a choice that Sunday after Mary came to London. He could preach a good sermon from a random text. He could keep his life. He could keep his pastorate. He could continue as dad and husband. Or he could preach a gospel sermon filled with Reformation truth, and he could lose his life. John Rogers chose the latter. Why? Because he couldn't keep this good news to himself. He didn't just love the gospel. He loved people who needed the gospel. And he was willing to give his life so they might know it. And right before he died, that's exactly what he did. He exhorted everyone watching his execution to embrace the doctrines of gospel grace. And Fox concludes, by his death, he demonstrated the reality of the ancient observation that the blood of the saints is the seed of the church. For instead of being intimidated by the severity of his sufferings, multitudes were encouraged by his magnanimous example. And many who had no religion were led to inquire into the cause for which pious, learned, and benevolent men were so contented to lay down their lives. And thus they were changed from atheists or Catholics by the grace of God to the profession of the gospel. Apparently, when you know the depth of God's love for sinners, you'll lose your life for their salvation. They believed that their depravity was deserving of damnation. They believed that salvation was found solely in God's mercy, not in their merit. And they believed that love like this was worth losing their lives to proclaim. So, how shall we live?